The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro and the Garmin Epix Pro Gen 2 Sapphire Edition both sit at the top of what Garmin makes for serious athletes and outdoor adventurers. They share the same 1.4-inch AMOLED display, the same TopoActive maps, the same hill score and endurance score training platform, and the same Sapphire lens. What the Fenix 8 Pro adds over the Epix Pro Gen 2 is specific, consequential, and expensive. Built-in inReach satellite technology for two-way emergency messaging when there is no cellular coverage, LTE cellular for calls and messages without carrying a phone, a 40-meter dive rating for scuba and apnea, and ECG for atrial fibrillation detection. If you are comparing these two watches, the real question is whether what separates them is worth paying for. This video gives you the honest answer. inReach satellite technology, the Fenix 8 Pro's defining feature. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro has built-in inReach technology. In an emergency where there is no cellular signal, no bars, no Wi-Fi, no nearby infrastructure, the Fenix 8 Pro can trigger an interactive SOS message to the Garmin Response Coordination Center, which operates 24 hours a day and can coordinate search and rescue on behalf of the user. This is not a one-way beacon. It is interactive satellite messaging that allows back-and-forth communication with the coordination center while help is being dispatched. The inReach technology also enables non-emergency satellite messaging, sending location check-ins and messages to contacts over satellite when off-grid, and sharing real-time location through LiveTrack with a 30-second update rate. All of this requires an active inReach subscription, but the hardware is built into the watch itself rather than requiring a separate device. The Garmin Epix Pro Gen 2 does not have inReach or satellite messaging. In a cellular dead zone, the Epix Pro Gen 2's emergency capability ends at storing a route and hoping for the best. For any buyer who regularly operates in remote terrain where rescue response time is measured in hours rather than minutes, the Fenix 8 Pro's inReach is the most consequential hardware difference in this comparison. Edge goes to the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro for uncontested on-satellite emergency and messaging. LTE cellular. The Fenix 8 Pro includes LTE network connectivity, the ability to exchange messages and make voice calls directly from the watch without a phone nearby. For a runner who goes out without their phone, a hiker who leaves the phone in the car, or any active user who wants connectivity without carrying a device, LTE means the watch handles communication independently. LiveTrack location sharing with 30-second updates allows family members or coaches to follow a session in real time through the Garmin Messenger app on the watch. The Epix Pro Gen 2 does not have LTE. All communication features require Bluetooth range to a paired smartphone. For buyers who always carry their phone, this difference is invisible in daily use. For buyers who specifically want to leave their phone behind during training, it is the reason to consider the Fenix 8 Pro. Edge goes to the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro for LTE cellular independence. The shared training platform. Both the Fenix 8 Pro and the Epix Pro Gen 2 run Garmin's full athletic training platform. Hill score measures running strength on ascents. Endurance score synthesizes training across all activities into a single endurance measure that updates each session. Training readiness combines HRV, sleep quality, and recent training load into a daily coaching signal. Morning report surfaces the most important health data at the start of each day. Advanced pacing modes support race day execution. Wrist-based running power and strength training features are present on both watches. Both watches have TopoActive maps preloaded with relief shading, golf course maps, and ski resort maps. Both use multiband GPS with SatIQ technology. Both have a 1.4-inch AMOLED display with a sapphire lens and a titanium bezel. Both have a built-in LED flashlight. Both have 32 gigabytes of storage. Both have the full Garmin Connect and Connect IQ ecosystem. For a buyer who trains seriously and does not operate in remote terrain or need LTE, both watches deliver the complete Garmin training experience. The Epix Pro Gen 2 does not give up anything meaningful in the coaching platform category. Dive certification. The Fenix 8 Pro carries a 40-meter dive rating with leak-proof metal buttons and dedicated scuba and apnea dive activity profiles. For any buyer who dives recreationally, professionally, or as part of a broader outdoor lifestyle, the Fenix 8 Pro is the only watch in this comparison that tracks the dive, not just survives it. The Epix Pro Gen 2 handles water exposure well, but is not dive rated for scuba or apnea. Standard swim tracking is supported. Deep diving with a dedicated activity profile tracking depth, time, and surface intervals requires the Fenix 8 Pro. Edge goes to the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro for diverse, uncontested ECG and health monitoring. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro includes an ECG app that can record heart rhythm and check for signs of atrial fibrillation, a cardiac monitoring capability beyond standard heart rate tracking. For buyers who have a personal or family history of heart conditions, or who specifically want wrist-based AFib detection as part of their daily health monitoring, the ECG is a meaningful health feature the Epix Pro Gen 2 does not offer. Both watches monitor HRV status, pulse ox, sleep, and respiration tracking continuously. Edge goes to the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro for ECG and AFib detection. Value. The Fenix 8 Pro's customer feedback specifically notes being overpriced in 4 out of 8 value mentions. A meaningful signal for a watch at this price point. The features that justify the Fenix 8 Pro's premium, inReach, LTE, dive certification ECG are specific, not universal. A trail runner who does not dive, does not need satellite messaging, and carries their phone on every run is paying $400 to $600 more than the Epix Pro Gen 2 for features they will never activate. The Epix Pro Gen 2 delivers 95% of the Fenix 8 Pro's athletic training capability at roughly half the price. For buyers who identified that the features separating them, inReach, LTE, Dive ECG, do not apply to their outdoor life, the Epix Pro Gen 2 is not a compromise. It is the same training tool. The Garmin Epix Pro Gen 2 provides value for the buyer whose use case does not require inReach, LTE, diving, or ECG. One unexpected strength of the Epix Pro Gen 2 is its 2-week real-world battery life is matched by the Fenix 8 Pro. Both deliver comparable runtime in smartwatch mode, but the Epix Pro Gen 2 delivers it without the additional subscription costs that the Fenix 8 Pro's inReach and LTE capabilities require to function. For a buyer who values operating cost alongside hardware cost, the Epix Pro Gen 2 has no subscription requirement to access its full training and navigation capability. One honest limitation of the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro is the inReach satellite and LTE capabilities both require active subscriptions. These are not one-time purchase features. The cost of the watch includes the hardware. The satellite messaging and LTE connectivity add ongoing subscription fees that should be factored into the total cost of ownership. For a buyer who does not use inReach or LTE regularly, those subscriptions are paid for features that sit dormant on a very expensive watch. In the end, the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro wins for a clearly defined buyer, and the Epix Pro Gen 2 wins for everyone else. If you go off-grid regularly, inReach satellite messaging is the most important safety hardware available on any consumer wrist device. If you train or operate in areas without cellular coverage and want two-way emergency communication, the Fenix 8 Pro is the watch that covers that need. Add LTE for phone-free communication, dive certification for underwater activities, and ECG for cardiac monitoring. And at $1,050 to $1,200, the Fenix 8 Pro earns its premium for the buyer who actually uses those features. The Garmin Epix Pro Gen 2 Sapphire Edition at $500 to $653 delivers the complete Garmin athletic training platform, Hill Score, Endurance Score, Training Readiness, Morning Report, TopoActive Maps, Multi-GNSS, built-in flashlight, 1.4-inch AMOLED with Sapphire, without the subscription costs or the features most buyers will never activate. For the athlete who trains hard and does not need satellite emergency messaging, LTE, scuba certification, or ECG, the Epix Pro Gen 2 is not a lesser watch. It is the right one. Both watches are linked in the description below. Check current pricing before you decide. Remember, the Fenix 8 Pro requires active subscriptions for inReach and LTE to function. Factor that into the total cost. So do you regularly go somewhere that has no cell signal and where being lost or injured would be a serious risk? If yes, the Fenix 8 Pro. If no, the Epix Pro Gen 2 saves you real money on the same training platform. If you want comparisons that protect every purchase you make before you make it, then hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.